This week's Martha's Collection feature is two different sets of what was labeled as wedding trousseau. Quite a bit of the collection was what I labeled as white cottons, and a lot of it was children's kind of dresses and whatnot, but there were some women's nightgowns, etc. After the collection, I bought these large totes and tried to organize everything and kind of put all this sort of garment in the same one. This one had a tag on it, and I'll show you a close-up of it here. It said Mary B. Putnam Wedding Trousseau monogrammed, and I was told that that was actually Martha's handwriting on that. A bridal trousseau is a bundle of a bride's personal belongings, historically comprising clothing, accessories, and household linens gathered to prepare her for married life and to be carried to her new home. I found out that she was married in 1901, so I'm assuming that she purchased or these were made for her in the late 1890s or into 1900. And I found in this H. O'Neill catalog some very similar images. So who was MBC? She was Martha's grandmother. Mary Bernard Clark was born August 20th, 1871 in Massachusetts. The 1900 census shows her living at that house, 467 Holly Avenue in St. Paul. And she married Charles Henry Putnam, June 1901, and that is a photo of her wedding. How cool is that? I don't have her dress, sadly, in the collection. That would have been wonderful. These other images I found online with the Minnesota History Center. So these are the garments that were considered. It did say on the tag there were 7 items total in the collection. I only have 6 that I have seen. I don't know if I'm missing one or what happened to the 7th piece, but there was 2 sets of 3 of these items that all had those monograms on them. So how wonderful that we know who the owner was of this and can put a face to it. So the items have each in the sets a nightgown, and then here is a chemise, which is very fine cotton. And again, there's the embroidered monogram there. And this has a set of what's considered open drawers, which is basically the equivalent of what we call underwear today. But this is what the Victorians into Edwardian era, which is what they wore as part of the undergarments. And later on, you'll see another set. Here's set number 2. That, first of all, here, let's show this nightgown. This has some amazing, beautiful detailing. It's got these pin tucks on the back. There is some staining. That kind of looks to me like it was oxidation from being on a wood hanger. And then I do a close-up of this later. All of that was stitched by hand, the lace to those ruched panels to achieve that beautiful effect. And here is the chemise from that set. I love the collar on this, how it's this widespread, very unique collar. And then there's the monogram on that upper collar piece. And these are shorter, these chemises. And this, I first thought was a closed drawer, a set of closed drawers. But then as I was pressing it later, I realized that they are actually open drawers with that seam being open like the other pair, but then they had been stitched shut at some point, likely to be more in keeping with the time. So let's get these cleaned. But before cleaning, I'm going to do some repairs. The one nightgown had a L-shaped tear, which is often something that happens like at the end of a placket, such as this case. So sometimes before doing a repair, I'll kind of press it first, just so I get a better kind of layout of what I'm doing. And I could have done a stitched by machine, kind of like 2 sort of little darts or pleats to do that repair, but that can cause puckering. So to try to minimize the puckering as much as possible, I kind of do this sort of butt stitch back and forth, and that kind of helps it to lay flatter. The drawers in the bottom sort of crotch part had some wear and some holes, so I had some matching antique fabric that I kind of created a patch with. Before soaking, I decided to remove any of the ribbons. There's this neckline, really nice, lovely ribbon in the insertion lace that I removed from the neckline of that. The other set had this wider ribbon, and then that was in the drawers as well as the nightgown. So I took those out, and I will address those separately. So to begin with, I did put everything in a large mesh laundry bag that kind of keeps everything together, and then it's going to make it easier on the garments when I'm lifting them in and out of the water. And I'm starting off with just the hot tap water temperature, and I did a 1 hour soak just in plain water, and look at that yellow. Oh, I love seeing that because I know things are getting out of there that have been there for a long time. And if you've cleaned any antique or vintage garments, and then once it hits the water, that smell, woof. So I'm really glad that I did some cleaning on this because they needed it. So then I did retro wash for a second soak and did 1 hour for that in 1 tablespoon, again with hot tap water, and then did rinsing. And I did decide to take it one step farther and to brighten them with sodium perborate. It's my understanding that sodium perborate is more gentle on fabrics than something like sodium percarbonate, which is what OxiClean is. And I felt these garments could handle it, but do keep in mind that sodium perborate is considered a bleaching agent. So do keep that in mind if you are wanting to do this yourself. But again, I felt these items could handle it, and I really felt they needed it. So I did I think I ended up doing a 3 hour soak with that. And I did kind of move it around every so often. And then after that, I took each piece out carefully, and you don't want to wring them, but you can squeeze out that water. And you can see here that more of that yellowing has come out, and I'm no longer getting that funky smell. So I'm really glad that I am getting these clean and probably disinfected. So I'm doing some rinsing, and rinsing is important with this. And then I'm putting them back in the mesh laundry bag, and to get out the sodium perborate, doing a round of retro wash. And then now you can see here that water is running clear. So I'm rinsing each piece individually because, again, wanting to make sure you're getting all of these things out of the water. And they say you should do enough rinsing so that you would actually drink that rinse water. So with these items, I'm taking them out, and you don't want to wring them, but you can squeeze out that extra water. And then to get even more of the extra water out, I did a towel roll for each one. And just a little side note, I love vintage towels. Some of these that I'm using here are vintage, so that's kind of a fun thing. And there they are in their rolls, getting that extra moisture out. And the sun has gone down, is going down, but I just decided to give them a little bit of fresh air. And then here are those towels that I'm just going to air dry to use for next time back inside. And it's time for bed. So I had marked each of those ribbons that I had removed from the various garments so that I knew which one would go back to which. And I'm going to do kind of a mini version of what I did on the garments. And to be able to figure out which one went to which, I put a little piece of paper underneath the 3 different glass containers and did each one separately. Again, starting with retro wash, and did a 1 hour soak with that, and then rinsed it, and then a 1 tablespoon of sodium perborate, dissolve that in hot water as before. And again, the same 3 separate containers with the notes underneath saying which one went to which item. And then I did a 3 hour soak for those, and then inside to rinse them. And then now that they're dry, I'm going to do a little bit of pressing on each one. And then pressing on all 6 garments. This took me quite a while. And as I was pressing, here we have electric, irons and whatnot. And I thought about who would have done this, 120 years ago. And as I looked up records on Mary, I saw the 1900 census. It was listed that a servant lived with them, and her name was Tilly Strom. She was born in Minnesota in 1877. Her parents came from Sweden, so my guess is they immigrated here. And then Tilly went to find employment, and she was a maid, as was often the case. And I found later that she died in 1914, so she was only 37 when she died. She did marry in 1904, and they had a child in 1905. But here's some close-ups of that monogram, and these would have been done by hand. beautiful work. So here's the front side of those monograms, and then here is the back side. Oh, I just think about all the detail that went into these garments that hardly anybody ever saw. And here are some close-ups. Here is that chemise, and then earlier you saw that patched repair. And there's that monogram. Beautiful insertion lace that runs vertically and horizontally. There's a little repair there that I wonder if Tilly had done. And here is the nightgown from that. There's the stitched repair that I had done. It's got a beautiful back on it too, with some pin tucking and a gorgeous collar. And I love these ruffled sleeves as well. And there's the monogram on that one. And it's got that kind of offset button placket for this. And that is set number 1. Now for set number 2. Here are the what I thought were closed drawers, but you can see there the stitching that maybe perhaps again that was Tilly had stitched them shut. I'm assuming in an effort to more modernize them, because this was kind of the transition when that was happening, going from the open drawers to the shut. And here is that bit of a detailing of the hand stitching and those beautiful tiny little crochet buttons and the hand done buttonholes on this nightgown here. Oh, I just think it is so amazing, again, for a garment that wasn't even seen by the public. And there's a close-up of those hand-stitched buttonholes. I love that insertion lace with these ribbon ties that accent the neckline and then the sleeves on this. And of course, that high neck from the late Victorian, early Edwardian that was so part of the fashion at the time that it even translated into these nightgowns. And there is the monogram on that piece. Here's a little more of a close-up on that beautiful bib on that and those sleeves. And then that collar. This was so satisfying to bring these closer back to their original glory. Thank you for watching.